Most people think speedrunning is an extremely hard hobby that takes a lot of skill and time, and not everybody could do it. And when I talk with other people, other friends, they all say they could never be as good as I am in Celeste, like they think I'm an insane good player. But today I want to tell you the complete opposite, that speedrunning is not as difficult as you think it is, and everybody can be a good speedrunner. I mean, I was or am a relatively good speedrunner, and I didn't think I could do it, and it's not that difficult as people make it out to be. So in today's video I want to explain why people assume speedrunning is difficult and why it is not as difficult as you think, and hopefully it will erase this entire myth around speedrunning that it's insanely difficult. So let's get started with the video. Hey everybody, my name is Flash177 and today I want to talk about why people assume speedrunning is difficult and why it isn't as difficult as you think it is. The idea behind this video is very simple. I recently talked with visuals in my podcast. If you don't know about it and if you want to listen more to stuff like this, then go check out the video description. And we were talking about speedrunning topics, and he came up with a point that whenever he rates another streamer or talks with other people, they always say like, oh, you guys, you speedrunners are so sick, I could never do this. Speedrunners need a special dedication, and if you are not into speedrunning, obviously it's not a hobby for you. But those people who are likely interested in speedrunning or want to learn speedruns in a serious way, they could easily become the best player in their game or a really good player in their game if they really want to do that, and that's something I want to explain today. But first of all, why do people assume speedruns are difficult in the first place? I think that has two reasons. One, most people only see the end product of a speedrun. They only see a speedrunner after he invested thousands of hours into a game and a lot of dedication. Let's say they watch a speedrun marathon like HDQ or watch a world record video on YouTube. They only see what could be done in a game and not what it takes to get to that point, you know? They only see how insane it is, but don't know anything about the progress. That lets them assume that speedrunning is difficult because it just looks difficult. The second point is speedruns look and are extremely optimized for the most part and get consistently optimized. People figure out crazy strategies, crazy RNG manipulations, one-frame glitches, or tricks. Not even the developers would have thought about the combination of it, and still speedrunners figure out a way to break the game every time. I just realized when I'm editing this that I didn't show you a way or a story that actually explains what I mean by this, by optimizing and figuring out the most craziest thing. And I think it's very fitting here. In a recent podcast episode with Dave Stereo, he was talking about Final Fantasy VII RNG manipulation, and some of the stuff he explained there was really crazy and insane for me. And there I came to the realization again, hey, we speedrunners are very, very good at figuring out the most ridiculous stuff. Yeah, I just will show you this clip where he explains it so you get it a little bit better, what I mean by how crazy it can be, because speedrunners seriously figure out the most craziest stuff. But after this, we are back to the normal video.
Alright, there's like one more thing, and
okay,
you know, RPG speedruns, like, you know, we want to talk about some RNG manipulation, and you know, certain games have their own very unique examples of this. But in FF7's case, there is something called the final descent, where you're hopping down on a bunch of rocks to get to the final area, and there is a random chance that you will get an encounter on one of these rocks. You know, it's not tied to your step manipulation. It's like its own seed-based thing in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, if you go back a half hour before that point, there's an instance where you're standing on this giant laser cannon and there's electrical sparks emitting seemingly randomly from the cannon. We do a thing where we pull out a timer and we time each time that we see a spark. And then we take these intervals in between the sparks and we plug it into like this crazy Excel spreadsheet. And that gives us all this information on, hey, here's what RNG seed you're on. Here's how much the RNG is incrementing based on this many frames. And here's your neighboring RNG increments where right now you get 4 encounters, but if you wait 200 frames on this screen, you will accelerate the RNG to a seed where you get like 1 or 0 encounters.
Okay.
And there's crazy things, you know, like...
Which leads to the fact that speedruns look insane from an outstanding point of view. You know, if you have only played Celeste normally and then watch a speedrun, the difference is day and night, like how fast we can move through this game, how we can abuse certain factors like dashing through spike walls basically. And for a casual player, it looks insane, but in the end, it is all a lot of practice and time investment. And with that, I immediately want to tell you why speedruns are not as difficult as you think they are. Because for the most part, the only thing or the only reason why speedrunners are really good has a combination of 3 different points. The first point being they have a greater passion and love for speedrunning. It is the same with every other hobby. If you are not really interested in it or invested into it, you won't go any far with it. But most really good speedrunners just love the concept of speedrunning. Like when I started Celeste, I didn't really know how far I could go. But I didn't really think I could reach, for example, sub 32. Around a month ago, I reached sub 32 in Celeste any percent, which isn't the greatest time, but still I'm very proud about myself because I got to that point where I pushed myself so hard to get to that time. That's something I'm really proud of, and that's something I like about speedrunning, because you can push yourself to your own limits without thinking about how others do. You know, speedrunning is a very community-oriented hobby, but you don't have to compare yourself with others. It's a lot about comparing yourself and to your own time in the past. The second point is time investment. And that's something every hobby or every skill a human being wants to learn. It evolves around how much time you invest into it. I mean, we as humans go several years to school or to university to study for a certain job or for a certain degree. And that obviously takes also time, and not every human being is doing it, but every human being could be becoming a doctor if they want to get there. And the same concept applies to speedrunning. If you want to become a good speedrunner, you just have to invest a lot of time into it on your own. If you want to become a doctor, you also have to invest a lot of time studying for school and getting the right grades to study in the end at a university. So when people just look at a speedrunner or at a speedrun, they see this perfect movement, those frame perfect tricks, but the reality is, we all couldn't do that in the first place. We just invested hundreds of hours into just doing one thing. And obviously, if we invested so much time into just doing this one thing, but we do it that good, obviously it looks easy when we do it. Like when I pull off a trick in Celeste or a movement section there, it looks insane. When I watched my first speedrun of Celeste, I was like, holy shit, that looks so awesome, but I don't know if I could do this. I invested a lot of time into learning these tricks myself, and now I could easily do it. I mean, when I speedrun Celeste, I don't even have to think about what I'm doing because I did it so often, it is like second nature to me. And that's one point most people forget. We are not insanely skilled players like right away. We just played one part and one game so often that we are so naturally good at it. It feels like we don't even play a game anymore at this point. You know, it's just all muscle memory. We know, oh, in this room we do this, this, and this. And then we just execute it because we have executed it 100 or 1,000 times. It looks so easy, but that doesn't mean it's like that difficult. It's only a matter of time. Everybody could learn a speedrun to its full potential if they really want to do it. If you think you couldn't do a speedrun, if you think you couldn't be that good, did you ever try to seriously pick up a speedrun? Like, just choose your favorite game of all time, look into its speedrun, and try your best, and maybe you'll fall in love and understand the concept of speedrunning. And after some time, after like hundreds of hours invested and several months of running the game, you all of a sudden are as good as people who you thought you will never be as good as them.
Yo, editing Flash here once again. I just want to quickly say, that last part, I totally messed it up in the recording and I didn't try to record it back again, so I just will get the message here. What I want to say at this very last sentence is, after all this grinding, after trying out the speedrun for several months, like seriously grinding and practicing it and trying to get good at it, you will quickly surpass your expectations and you will be a lot better than you thought you would be in the beginning. So just give speedrunning a test, that's all I want to say, and you will be surprised what you can pull off if you seriously love to speedrun and if you seriously are trying to get good at it. Everybody could be a speedrunner. That's all I want to say there. Now back to the actual video.
So don't say speedrunning is difficult, you could never do it. Better say speedrunning is something not for you, because that's the thing. Speedrunning is a very special hobby, and I totally agree that not everybody could be a speedrunner. Like, people get tired out of one game, people couldn't grind one room for several hours per day just to become a better speedrunner at it. I'm sometimes very lazy when it comes down to practice. I enjoy playing through one game as fast as possible, but I'm not that much enjoying practicing one room for 1 or 2 hours just to improve my speedrun. It's something that takes a lot of dedication, but everybody could theoretically do it if they want to. So I hope you liked that video and it helped you to understand, hey, speedrunning is actually not that difficult, it just takes an insane amount of time and practice. If you want to see more videos like this, where I, for example, could explain the concept of speedrunning, how you learn and improve in a speedrun in a more detailed way, then hey, leave a comment. I would really appreciate that if people are interested in more stuff like this, because I love to create these videos, but it's also like, sometimes I think, maybe people are not interested in these kinds of videos. Like, I mean, I'm just sitting here talking about a speedrun topic. Who would be interested in that? So yeah, if you're more interested in videos like this, leave a comment what topic you want to see in the future. As I said, the concept of speedrunning, like the life cycle of speedrunning basically, is another topic I have in mind, but maybe people are not interested in it. So with that, I leave it like this. Hope we see each other in the next video or in a future stream as soon as I can stream again. If you like the conversation between two speedrunners more, I could also recommend you my podcast. I really love to record these episodes with all different kinds of speedrunners, and I'm always extremely happy and more interested into speedrunning afterwards. So maybe you could get into speedrunning as well if you just listen to my podcast. Links are all in the description, and see you hopefully in the next video. Bye!